Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Unscripted Climb. Nat here and Chris Beecham.
Hello.
Shermin Lakha is with us today. She is an entrepreneur and somebody I met. Man, I met her. How did we meet?
We met at an event in New York City. I honestly think we were just like sitting at the lunch table together, and I'm pretty chatty, so I always introduce myself at any event.
Million Dollar Women, right? Did we meet at
Million
Million
Dollar
Dollar Women?
Women. Yep, that's the one. Um, yeah, I always find that like lunch at those events the best place to meet people.
When I talked to her at the event and then quickly looked up her business on my cell phone, I remember thinking, okay, this is no average attorney. Like I know that's maybe mean if you're in the legal profession, but when I saw your brand, your website, the way you were talking about your business and how you had structured and productized your services, I knew that you were just already a cut above where I've experienced in the legal profession. Many lawyers and legal firms are branding very standard, typical, serious, and you were willing to kind of take a plunge. So I want to open up with just introducing you to our audience. What is it that you do? Obviously, legal, you can specialize in a lot of things. How have you built your business so far? Let's start there.
Sure. So I'm Shermin. I'm the founder of Level Up Legal and Tiger Creative Agency. So I have two businesses now. But so Level Up Legal, it's an all women law firm, and we focus on startups, beauty brands, and business and intellectual property. But really, what I do is I'm a legal advisor to a lot of these businesses. Just like you said, so many people find the law really antiquated, and it's kind of a place where you know part of it, you want to get to know it better, but you're afraid of how much it's going to cost. So what's different about our practice is that we do offer flat fees to our clients so they don't feel like they're on a shot clock when they talk to us. And we've been working with different businesses for almost 7 years now. And what really sets us apart is that, like you said, there's so many lawyers in New York City. There's so many different law firms people can choose from. What made us different is that I really went out to build a brand, and the brand is to be not only relatable to our clients, so we want to look and feel like our clients do, so they feel like they can talk to us, but also internally, I hire people who are aligned with who they are as people authentically. What I really strive to do is change the perception of what it looks like to be someone who's successful. Generally, lawyers, people look at them and they're like, okay, if they're in a suit and they're older, they're going to be the ones I want to talk to. I definitely want to change that dynamic. And so to really showcase that people could be successful and they don't have to be boring.
I think what's really interesting is what you're doing on social as a personal brand and what you're doing on social, even for the firm. It is very different than anything I've seen in the legal profession. I know you have that second business as well. Just tell us a little bit about your personal development and why you chose those avenues so early on to build the businesses through.
Yeah, so when I first started the practice in 2019, I built the entire practice on social media, honestly, because I didn't have any money at the time.
That's the
And
best, right?
I was like,
Honest opinion, honest
yeah, so
truth.
I was like, what am I going to do? I need to market my services. So at the time, it was just Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And so I just put up a website and started posting. And almost immediately, people started really encouraging me, why know more about what I was doing. And that was before TikTok, too. And honestly, it was the best thing because a lot of our clients were on Instagram. We were one of the first businesses, law firms to be on there. And really, I've definitely transitioned that a bit more. So when I started posting, I then got really busy and hired my first two interns, and they both happened to be women. And then people started coining us as the all female law firm. And I really took a step back and I'm like, okay, there's something here to that. There's something that a lot of people are relating to, and the fact that we are a minority and we're women and we really value our lifestyles and our differences and, life outside of work as well. And funny enough, more than 50% of our clients are male. So it's not just about like we only attracting women. I think we attract people who want to relate to their attorney. So yeah, to this day, we have not spent any paid advertising. We've never done any like Google ads. Everything is organic. Everything is referral. And we continue to post a lot. A lot of our content now is, I feel like I was posting more back then, but a lot of our content now is mostly on, events that we're hosting, client spotlights, different tips for people who want to hire an attorney that's in that within the business and intellectual property field, and also like different celebrity cases because we do a lot of commentary now for Vogue, for Business Insider, for Forbes. So it's been
Did I
really
see you broke down the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively
yes, yes,
case?
I
Oh,
did. Like whenever I see a case, I don't do criminal law, but it's also like you have to think a little outside the box in terms of what is going to track. So I think a lot of attorneys struggle because they want and a lot of attorneys are now on TikTok and doing content, but you have to think about like what people want to hear. So I take cases like that that may not necessarily be pertaining to business and IP, and I take aspects of that and talk about areas of my practice. Like I'm not about to go litigate or do criminal law, but what are some things about, intellectual property or business law that are to consider in situations like that?
okay. I have to ask, do you have an opinion on that case and who will win it?
Uh,
Not an opinion on who's right, an opinion from a legal standpoint of who you think will actually
I
come out on
think
top.
Baldoni is winning, right? Like I think Blake withdrew some of her claims. Um,
Mhm.
I've been deep on that story when that was happening about all of the different reasons that was happening, but you know, yeah, I guess I can comment. I'm not an attorney on the case, but I'm Team Baldoni.
Yeah, that's kinda how I've been feeling. Do you know what we're talking about, Chris?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah.
Which team are you on?
The Baldoni dude.
Baldownie did, yeah. He doesn't
Unless
really
something
know.
comes out
And
that's
like,
yeah, honestly, unless something comes out that is like a super red herring, I'm like a very, very clear sexual misconduct, because obviously that's not okay. I feel like there is something more to that story based on the tea that I've gotten on TikTok, so
It's
we'll see.
fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. But I love what you said about just thinking outside the box with some of
yeah,
these
yeah. I
content.
love that you're using your whole brand, and it's even brought other opportunities. Is that what I'm getting off of this?
Yeah, and I think it's also about using yourself. Like when you're starting a business, I think one of the biggest things is people need to have no ego and no shame. I am somebody who am not afraid to be seen. I'm not afraid to put myself out there, and I'm just a yes person. So I think that when I talk to a lot of attorneys that are like, I want to get on social, that's just a desire. Like I'm a big believer in like if you have an idea, you need to execute it. If you want to get on social, you got to do it. We have ChatGPT now. People could get a whole script of different content ideas, the day they should post, the captions they should use. Like it's there. You just have to show up. And I think that's the hardest part for people. Also, people are like, I don't want to feel seen or I don't want to, be embarrassed. Like when you start a business, how many times do you fail? How many times do you make mistakes that turn into learnings? You have to be available to just put yourself out there. You're never really going to be successful because that's the whole risk in being an entrepreneur.
Whew, some gems there. What have you struggled with in building the business that you can kind of look back? It's been 7 years now, so I'm sure there's things in the beginning that you're like, "I don't know how I made it through that."
Honestly, I think about that all the time. I feel like I was a lot braver back then than I am now. Like, I'm like, how did I start this? You know, I think some of the things that I did was, and I still do, I have very good visualization skills. Like I could see the things that are going to happen before they're going to happen and how they're going to work. Where I sometimes struggle is the business plan. I never had a business plan. I
Mm.
honestly just started and I just kept going and ideas kept flowing and I kept my eye on growth. And then in 2024, I launched my creative agency, which is partnered with Amazon Live. And now we do shoppable content for different brands. So, totally different arena, but we do work with a lot of content creators on the legal side. So, we get to manage them both as an attorney and an agent, which is very cool. My time was really spread thin, and managing two things well was really hard for me. And so, I had to figure out which area I wanted to scale in and where I wanted to focus. So we ended up kind of like just refiguring level up a little bit. And now we're back into a new business model, into different things that we're scaling. And then the agency is honestly doing better than ever. But I think that's the life of an entrepreneur. You, after a few years, maybe it's like the 7 year itch. You just want to like do something different or have a new idea. And you have to be flexible with that. You have to be ready to just try something new. Um, because I realized that even though I'm an attorney, I'm really in the business of building businesses. And I've kind of figured my zone of genius is being more on the advisory side.
Huh. Zone of genius is the great term there because so many people don't know what that is for them.
Well, yeah, she kind of found it through trial and error, like,
Mhm.
just experimenting, and then it just took off and you were like, you know what? Why am I fighting this? Let's do this for others. And then
Exactly.
it goes from there. Like, so you're still doing both.
I'm still doing both full time. Yeah.
Got it.
And I do my own personal content. I also have a dinner series I do called The Connected Table. I host events. I'm doing the most, but I love it. And a big part of what I do now is I am a legal advisor for equity on, I think, about 6 businesses now.
What does your life look like as a female entrepreneur right now? I mean, are you staying in one place? Are you traveling? What does your life look like?
So it's funny. The last 6 years, I realized that I've made a lot of constructs for myself. I really love organization and, knowing where things are. So everybody had to be in the office almost 5 days a week, dressed, ready to film. Like we had a lot of structure. When I launched the agency, I moved part-time to Miami, Florida, which is where I am now. And it was a really big shock for me because I was like, all of these constructs I've built, I really just kind of made them up. Like I thought that I needed that to feel like something like the ground was there underneath me. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs need that sometimes when you're starting out because if you are traveling and doing a lot of things, it's sometimes hard to manage. So then in 2024, when I moved, I was like, okay, I know I have to be in Miami for 6 months, but I don't really have to be anywhere else. So in 2025, I really did a lot of traveling, which was the first time I was able to do that, really work remotely. My team is remote now for the law side. And so now it's a mix. I definitely travel, but it's also opened my eyes to a whole new client base. I have to say that most of my clients come from me being social and going out. And I like tell people that all the time. You have to leave your house and show up in person because if you really want to make that connection, that's how you meet. That's how we met.
Yep.
We left our houses, we were there.
Yeah, you got
And
to leave your house.
you got to leave your house. And I think also because of the fact that is so many people doing ads and different sales models, that one-on-one connection is really a great way to meet people. And so I went to Cape Town, I went to different conferences. I'm going to Costa Rica with a group of founders and we're all working remotely, but most of them are actually going to hire me on as clients or equity partners. So it's all really to grow the business and have those long-term connections.
I think what's really interesting about what you said is that you created constructs and then you broke those constructs down. So the lesson I'm kind of hearing for our audience is don't be afraid to just pivot and adjust the way you do things based on what you need.
Absolutely. I think it's also kind of like a personality type. If I'm like, what's interesting? Like I am type A when it comes to controlling situations and controlling my business. And I know that I'm not the best at delegating. And I'm also like I need to hang and not have my hands in things. What's been helpful actually with traveling is that my team has been able to step up and been forced to kind of take a bit of a back seat on certain things. And I honestly think that was one of the best lessons I've had because as somebody who is growing a business, like you can't do everything. You have to like hire your team. If you hire a team, let them do their job. And I have very open candor with my team. If I tell them, I'm like, if you ever feel like I'm micromanaging you, it's honestly because other parts of my life feel a little out of control and level up. And the business is something that's my baby and I know what to do here. So tell me if you feel like there's anything that I'm doing. And having that open communication is really important to my team as well, because I want them to feel like they can talk to me and that their voice is heard. Especially with Gen Z, like they will speak up. So like you
Yeah.
got to ask them, like, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
It's been something I really learned too. Like a lot of these constructs are me just trying to control situations when there's other things going on in my life. So as a founder, you let all the things kind of get to you, but you have to really just balance it out.
Absolutely. Have you ever felt like have you ever felt, has there ever been a point where you've been like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this?
So there hasn't been a point that I thought, like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, but I have thought a lot about doing things differently. Now that I'm in, 7 years, I've been practicing law for almost 11, I think a little more than that, which is crazy to me. And then the agency came about. I'm really thinking more about how my life is going to transition into just practicing versus being more of a thought leader. And I think that goes back into how I've used branding and social. Most people bring me into their business and hire me because they want to have an open conversation with me. So I'm thinking about new ways that I could provide my advisory services, but also help a greater audience. So I'm launching this like I need another thing to do. I'm launching my newsletter. It's called The First Call, and the reason is because I ask my friends, and they often call me first whenever they start a business, and I ask them, why would you come to me? Why do you call me first? And the zone of genius I discovered is that I have a way of visualizing the things that people want to do and connecting the dots within my network as well as within their networks to get them from A to B. I think a lot of founders have like an idea, but some of them don't know about law or like raising capital or just different avenues that they can take to get revenue or protect themselves legally. So I'm able to kind of see that based on my experience. And so that's what I'm launching next to kind of help with the masses. So still very legal advisory, but something that's just a little more me and not so much the brand.
So let's go back to like you grew everything without ads, and because yeah, a lot of us don't have the money for ads,
Yeah.
so that makes. But like, what advice would you give to somebody who just started the business without the capital, has no money for ads? Like, how do you guide them through that? What's your advice on that?
So not just posting about yourself, one of the biggest things that somebody who doesn't have capital for ads or, isn't going to do Facebook, Google, all of that, because that's really expensive, is I would recommend, first of all, making a grid plan and working with someone like you guys to help with the design, the logo, get your branding on point.
Mm.
And that's really going to be the ground level of how you are presented. Then I would say one of the biggest things that I did to grow my audience organically is I showcased other people. Everybody wants a platform. Everybody wants to be acknowledged. So I started with client spotlights, or I would go to events and make reels to support people. I would post and encourage other people to talk like about my clients or events that I was at and different legal tips, all of that. I want to say that most people in the world are takers. They're always asking for things. What can you do for me? What can you do for me? The best way for you to get business organically is do more for others. Showcase others, not just yourself. They will follow you, repost, and support you. And that's a great way to grow organically. Also, I used to do this thing where I would spend um, part of my day making connections within my network at no benefit to me. So it was through this woman, Jen De Silva, who started something during COVID called Connect for Women. And it was a goal for each of us to connect to people, but I kept doing it. And so, say, for example, Natalie, if you were like, I'm working with X person, I'm looking for this, I would just make that connection. No, no benefit to me directly. But what happens is people start mentioning you in rooms like, oh, I know Shermin. She's an attorney, but she connected me with this person. And then after that, people start remembering you. And then you really start building, a good rapport and a good reputation within the business too.
Such great advice, and something that I think we've all kind of forgotten about, the giver taker piece and that balance. So when you look at, forward and momentum and where you're trying to go as you continue building, what do you see as the future to tie these two businesses together? You've got a creative agency and you've got a legal firm.
So, what's interesting is my law firm, we work with a ton of content creators. So, a lot of the brands now that are coming out are from content creators and people who are building beauty brands or skincare brands, or we work with someone who's doing card games. Like it's a lot in the business field. And so they come to us for filing their entities, their trademarks, getting their business off the ground. And in addition, I also can offer them opportunities to get deals and negotiate those deals with larger e commerce brands and other brands. So it's been kind of full circle. A lot of the advisory piece is a little different. And then
Mm.
obviously a lot of the different types of content are different. But it kind of like starts in the middle and spreads this way. So there is that correlation of us working in the world of content creation and with influencers in general in both businesses. What's interesting is now is the world of content creation is just marketing and advertising. Every single person is a walking billboard now. And so entertainment, advertising, marketing law with business and IP. What people used to put on TV and billboards is now they're just putting on your social media.
So true. It's hitting all of us so much that it's almost hard to keep track of. And it's actually something that I've been thinking about is like, we're not meant to be bombarded by every single person's thought, opinion, brand. It is so overwhelming.
Well, yeah, they say like the average person sees like 10,000 posts a day, which
It's
seems
my
insane until you
my
start counting it.
my clock on my phone when it gives you that weekly, like, how much time have you spent on your phone today? I'm like, "Ooh, God."
Yeah, we don't
It's
need
a
to
lot.
see that. Yeah.
It every week gives me my amount of time I spend on my phone or on certain apps, but I think that's what it is. But also there's a benefit to that because I think about if I had started, the business 20 years ago, I wouldn't even know where to start. Now people can literally launch businesses and products for free by utilizing content.
But don't you think that's also make people lazier? Because in a way, since anyone can start a business and the threshold is so low, people are also just like struggling with the actual motivation to do, to execute.
I think yes and no. I feel like it depends on how you look at it. Like I think that if everyone's doing it, like, I definitely can do it, and I think a lot of people have great ideas, but you'd be surprised about how many people don't execute them, exactly like what you said. If you can actually be a doer, that is the biggest thing. I think one thing that sets me apart as a person is I'm not afraid of hard work. Like, you tell me you need something done, I'm gonna do it, and so that's why I think I've been successful, is I'm not afraid to actually roll my sleeves up and do the work. And I think now, especially when I'm looking at a lot of the companies I work with, like a lot of people have ideas and they ideate for a long time, but it's like, who's doing the work? Which is great. Is why they hire me as an agency and as a law firm because I could do the work.
I think that's a great mantra. Okay, so as we start to look, ahead to what's next for you, what kind of client are you looking for, and who do you want to be doing more work with?
So for me, it's not necessarily the business because I can work with any business. It really is the individual and the person that is passionate about what they do. I look for clients that I can be involved with. So, as I mentioned, I'm doing more advisory work for equity and been with some businesses now for almost 6 years. Hopefully, one is going to exit soon and I can retire. But those types of businesses I really like because with the advisory equity, a lot of these businesses don't have capital, but they need me. So there's like a stopgap there where they're like, I wish I could speak to you more or work with you, but I just don't have the capital. When I'm involved in these businesses, I get to work with them on a weekly basis, sometimes daily basis, and I'm really involved, which I really love. I love companies that are innovative. For example, I'm working with a new company that is with an anesthesiologist, and
Mm.
she's launching sleep spas for longevity, like things that you wouldn't even think of people are doing. And it's honestly incredible. I have a company that is luxury tableware, and we're doing dinner parties for people to really create beautiful, aesthetic tablescapes. Things like that are just so interesting to me because it just makes the world a little more unique and it just motivates me to be like, there's so much out there. Um, so yeah, it's not necessarily the client, it's definitely the person. And there's also some clients that are like, I love their business and I don't like the person. So it could be either way.
We've all been there. How can people find you if they want to connect with you?
So a lot of people find us on social. Our entire law firm is Level Up Legal without the E, so LVLUP Legal. We have ways to schedule free consultations with us. And you can also find my personal social at Shermin.Lakha on, I think, all handles. Most people reach out to me, Instagram, LinkedIn, but I'm on TikTok. I'm on all of them.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Shermin Lakha.
Yeah. Thanks. That was great.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.